I never thought my mornings would be defined by the sound of a BMW horn. Not traffic, not birds, not an alarm clock. A BMW horn. Every single day at exactly 6:47 a.m. It started the day Karen moved into the corner lot. Not just any Karen. HOA President Karen. The kind of woman who carried a laminated copy of the community bylaws inside her Louis Vuitton bag, like it was holy scripture. The kind who quoted subsection, numbers the way preachers quote psalms. The kind who smiled while enforcing rules like she was doing you a favor. Day one, I opened my garage door to leave for work, coffee still burning my tongue, brain barely awake. And there it was, her sparkling white 2023 BMW X5, parked sideways across the curb, angled with surgical precision, so that both my cars were completely trapped inside my garage. She stood on her own lawn, wearing yoga pants, a visor, and a smug little grin, sipping a green smoothie like she personally invented health. I rolled down my window and asked, as politely as humanly possible, "Hey, sorry to bother you. Any chance you could move up a few feet? I can't get out." She didn't even look at me, didn't turn her head, didn't pause to sip. She just raised one finger, not the bad one, but it somehow felt worse, and said, Section 7.4, no parking within 15 feet of a driveway. You're welcome. Then she walked back inside her house. I sat there stunned, staring at my steering wheel. She was blocking my driveway and somehow claiming I was violating the rules. That night, I pulled up the HOA bylaws and read them word for word. Guess what? Section 7.4 only applied to street-side curb parking. My garage? Private property. She knew. She absolutely, unquestionably knew. The next morning, 6:47 a.m. sharp, the horn blared again. Same sideways BMW. Same fake smile. Same green smoothie. This time, she brought backup. 2 other HOA board members strolled down the sidewalk, pretending to power walk for exercise, phones raised just high enough to film me for documentation. I ended up calling out sick just to sit in my driveway and wait for a tow truck. The tow truck never came, because technically, her car wasn't on my property, just close enough that I couldn't leave. By day 5, the entire neighborhood knew. Cars slowed down in the morning like people rubbernecking a highway accident. Kids filmed TikTok duets. Someone started a betting pool on how long I'd last before snapping. I started parking my daily driver 2 streets away and Ubering home just to avoid the humiliation. My wife stopped inviting friends over because Karen would step into the street and scream about curb appeal violations the second anyone pulled in. Then came the notes. Bright pink post that slapped onto my windshield every night. Consider being a better neighbor. Your trash bins were visible for 7 minutes past 8 a.m. Smile. It's a beautiful day to follow rules. One night, she left a printed photo of my own garage door with a tiny oil spot circled in red. Across the bottom, environmental hazard reported. I tried everything. Talking nicely, talking firmly, emailing the HOA board, who all happened to be her Pilates friends, filing an official complaint that mysteriously vanished from the online portal. Nothing worked. She had the power. She had the time. And she had a brand new BMW she clearly loved more than oxygen. Then, on a random Tuesday, after she blocked me in for 23rd day in a row and laughed while I begged her to move, I made a decision. A quiet one. I called a concrete guy I knew from high school, told him I needed 4 steel bollards installed, the kind they use in bank parking lots. Unbreakable, permanent, painted HOA-approved sandstone beige, so she couldn't even complain about the color. He paused and said, "You sure, bro? This feels nuclear." I told him, "Just do it before I end up on the news." 2 days later, the post went in, 6 feet apart, exactly at the edge of my driveway, lined up like soldiers. I added reflective strips, installed a small sign, and old parking fix obstructions. I photographed everything and sent it to the city for permits. All approved, because again, private property. The very next morning, right on schedule, 6:47 a.m. I heard it, not the gentle beep-beep she used to wake the street. A full-on, sustained horn scream of pure panic. I stepped outside in my robe, coffee in hand, like it was a Super Bowl. Karen stood red-faced beside her BMW. The front end was wrapped around my center bollard, like a crushed soda can. Airbags deployed. Hood crumpled. Her green smoothie had exploded across the windshield like abstract art. The car sat sideways, exactly where always parked. Only this time, it wasn't moving ever again. She saw me, pointed shaking finger, and shrieked, "You did this on purpose." I took a sip of coffee and said calmly, Section 7.4, Karen, no parking within 15 feet of a driveway. You're welcome. Neighbors poured out of their houses clapping. Someone started filming, and that was only the beginning. The tow truck driver took one look at Karen's BMW, its front end hugging my steel bollard like a desperate ex, and burst out laughing. "Lady," he said, wiping his eyes, "this is the best call I've had all year." Karen was already on the phone with 911, pacing in circles and shrieking that I'd installed booby traps and attempted murder through landscaping. When the officer arrived, he recognized me immediately from Little League coaching years ago. He listened patiently, then asked to see my permits. I handed over the neatly organized folder. He glanced at the bollards, measured the distance with the toe of his boot, looked back at Karen. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "this is private property. You hit a fixed object. That's an at-fault accident. Have a nice day." Karen absolutely lost it. That same night, she called an emergency HOA meeting. Yes, emergency. She demanded my immediate removal from a neighborhood. She passed around glossy photos of her totaled BMW with captions like terrorism in broad daylight. Half the room ate the cookies she brought. The other half stared at me like I was about to pull a grenade. I showed up anyway. I walked in carrying a folder thicker than her bylaws book. First slide on projector, time-stamped ring footage from the last 28 mornings. Every single day, her car blocking my garage, her waving, her smirking, her refusal to move. Second slide, city permits stamped and approved. Third slide, close-ups of the reflective strips and the clearly posted no parking sign. The room went dead silent. Karen stood, veins popping. "Those posts are ugly. They destroy curb appeal. I'm fining him $25,000 for unauthorized modifications." I smiled and clicked to the next slide. An email from the city planning department, dated 3 weeks earlier, where Karen herself tried to block my permit and was told, in writing, "Homeowner has full rights on private property. Request denied." You could hear her soul leave her body, but she didn't quit. The next 48 hours were chaos. She filed fake liens on my house, printed on her home printer. Her husband stood in my driveway with a measuring tape, claiming the posts encroached on the easement. They didn't. She created a neighborhood Facebook group called Stop the Bollard Bully and posted AI-generated images of my house vandalized with swastikas. Then came the 4 a.m. wake-up calls. Anonymous numbers screaming threats. Eggs on my door. Nails scattered behind my tires. I installed more cameras. At 2:13 a.m., Karen appeared in 4K, wearing a black hoodie, sprinkling nails behind my wheels like fairy dust. I sent the footage straight to the police. They paid her a visit. Insurance declared her BMW totaled. She claimed the post had moved overnight. They sent an engineer. He laughed harder than the tow truck driver. By then, the story went viral. News vans parked outside. Someone made Free the Driveway t-shirts. My ring clips hit 1 million views on TikTok. Karen started wearing oversized sunglasses and headscarves like she was in witness protection. She scheduled a special assessment vote to fine every homeowner $500 to pay for a new car for community safety. Only 12 people showed up. 8 flipped her off. That's when she crossed from evil into completely unhinged. One night, my wife screamed. I ran outside barefoot. Karen stood on my lawn with a cordless sawzall, sparks flying as she tried to cut through my steel posts. Bunny slippers, silk robe, hair in curlers. An extension cord ran from her house across the street. "I paid for this street," she shrieked. The blade snapped, flew back, and sliced her own forearm open. blood everywhere. She looked at me wild-eyed and whispered, "This isn't over." The cops came again. EMS patched her up on my driveway while she told them I'd attacked her with a samurai sword. The camera said otherwise. She left in cuffs for trespassing, vandalism, and destruction of property. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. The next morning, a process server showed up. Karen was suing me for $250,000. Emotional distress, loss of enjoyment of life, permanent disfigurement from the Sawzall incident. My lawyer laughed so hard he had to put his coffee down. Discovery began, and that's when the universe handed me a winning lottery ticket. Karen's lawyer accidentally attached the wrong PDF to an email. One click. There it was. Her original purchase contract. Page 27. Exhibit C. A recorded easement dating back to 1978, granted my property permanent. Unrestricted vehicular access across the corner of her lot. Translation: Karen never owned the land she'd been parking on. She paved over my legal right-of-way and spent 6 years terrorizing me to protect the lie. It got better. Page 43. A handwritten note from the previous owner. Buyer aware easement is active. Seller disclosed verbally. Buyer laughed and said HOA will fix that. She knew. My lawyer walked into mediation carrying dynamite. Karen smirked. Ready to settle terrorists? He slid the documents across the table. Then drone footage. Bright orange markings outlined the easement. Her BMW. Her driveway. Her rose garden. All sitting on my land. The video was already on YouTube. 4.2 million views. Karen stood so fast her chair fell backward. "You can't do this." I finally spoke. "Watch me." We left mediation with no settlement. Instead, Karen signed a full release of all claims, resigned from the HOA immediately, and agreed to remove her driveway at her own expense within 60 days, or face daily fines. She moved 3 weeks later. House sold at a massive loss. Husband filed for divorce. Took the dog. I paved the easement into a beautiful extended driveway. Added a basketball hoop. Neighbors use it daily. Someone installed a plaque. Freedom begins here. Last I heard, Karen tried to start over in a new subdivision. They already knew who she was. Every morning at 6:47 a.m., when my garage door opens freely, I raise my coffee and whisper the same words.